where they just really don't know what to do anymore. It's, am I gonna just be this person for the rest of my life? Or am I gonna try and take a next step? And what I always try and tell people is, within our company, but I truly believe within your industry as a whole, you can pretty much take care of anything and everything, as long as you actively start visualizing, discussing it, making it a real thing. And I think very few people do that, because it's scary to think that you could be in a much better position and it's all your fault if you're not. We, it's really easy, especially as Dutch people, to go, it's not working, I'm doing really well but I'm not getting the breaks, all of that type of stuff. That's sort of your safe space. It's so easy to not blame yourself for lack of progress, lack of lions, lack of a million things. That's the one thing that I always tell people to get rid of. It's so malleable, so makeable, that you have to start blaming yourself if it's not happening, which is a really depressing thing to have to say to a group of hungover people. But it's what changed everything for us. Instead of being walked into that, we're so good, why does nobody care? We went, we're so good and you should really start caring. And that's a really small change, but it's a huge change in mindset, and I think it's been the main thing for us. Do you guys want a bit of insight from what you saw in the jury, or do you have any questions that you want me to go into? Jury? Yeah. So, did the digital craft jury first time out. The interesting thing with that jury is we're allowed to look at work disconnected from the big idea. So I was on the cyber jury 2 years ago, and what we were getting was a situation where amazing work, brilliant work, wasn't awardable because we couldn't place it in the framework of a big idea. And that is a huge problem for our industry, because a lot of the stuff that happens that's important isn't a big idea anymore. It is stuff like digital transformation, products and services, all of these things that actually impact a business bottom line, that impact how people interact with brands, services, platforms. A lot of that isn't a huge idea, it's lots of little ideas done really, really, really well. And I think what Kant has sort of let slip the last few years is their ability to talk about that. So you'll see a lot of people go on stage these last few days that have amazing ideas that have very little actual impact on brands and business. And while it is fun, I've been able to move part of our company more into the digital transformation space, and for me that's been hugely satisfying, because I now do stuff where we do it and I actually get to see if it had a result, and if it made somebody money. And it changes one important aspect that I never really thought about, which is advertising is often seen as a cost. And if you're a cost, you're also always under sort of the spotlight, because you're always having to fight for being allowed to do good work, because nobody really sees what the potential impact is. If you start being involved in work that actually starts moving bottom lines, you become an investment. It's still money, but it's a hugely different mindset. And I think what Kant has pushed the last decades is, look at this stuff, that's a cost but that's brilliant. And a lot of agencies have not been able to step into we are part of what you're investing into the future of your brand, which is, I think, a huge reason why a lot of agencies are struggling and a lot of networks are struggling, because we're on the cost side of the discussion, which is a horrible place to be, because you don't want to be a cost. You want to be a partner, you want to be part of building something, you want to be in the investment call. I think our category, it's very presidential. I think our category this year, we had lots of amazing campaign work. We do a ton of campaign work. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. The thing we looked for as a jury, and we didn't find enough, was some of the really good UX UI platform work. And we're pushing for it. I know the organization is pushing for it, because I would love to see next year and the 5 years after this, work that is just a great product or service that made people switch from one brand to another because it's a better mobile experience, or it's a better interface that I want to interact with on a daily basis, instead of lots of the clunky stuff that a few of the big brands are doing. So while it seems like a relatively small category, and it seems really niche. It's like, oh, it's those guys that like looking at loaders and rollovers, which I do. Love loaders. Favorite thing. It is actually, I think, the category if Kant does it well, and if the juries and presidents that will do the next 5 years do it well, it's gonna open up the ability for Kant to talk about the stuff that most brands actually care about. Which is, did that actually become a huge part of people's life on a daily basis, versus did it inspire them with that big story, but then really didn't follow through when it comes to day-to-day stuff. I think that is what I'm excited about when I look at Khan at the moment, and I think you as a young group of creatives should start thinking about as well. Try and start to position yourself in areas of work that are going to give you more long-term ability to